The recovery unit moved through the bombed-out building, their lantern carving a pool of gold from the darkness. The lantern's flame reflected in a shallow puddle as they halted. 12 paces ahead, a human knelt beside one of their own.
Identify yourself.
Margaret, I am a nurse. I am not armed.
The medic crept forward, scanner sweeping the fallen soldier. The readout was a death sentence.
His wounds are beyond field aid. He has minutes, maybe less. Step away from him, now.
I can't do that. He shouldn't be alone.
The scarred soldier shifted his weight, rifle lowering an inch. His eyes flicked from the human to his lieutenant. The standoff held, weapons not quite aimed, the human unmoving, the dying soldier's breath, a thin rattle in the silence.
Tor, search her. I want to know what she's carrying.
The scarred soldier stepped forward and ran his hands over her torso, sides, and legs. He pulled out a folded cloth and a canteen. No weapons.
I am with the relief convoy. I am a nurse. I came to help whoever needed it.
You are holding an enemy soldier like he's family. That's not help. That's madness. His vitals are crashing. There's nothing I can do. His body is shutting down. She's a security risk. We'll detain her until command decides what to do with her.
Please, let me stay. I won't cause trouble. I just want to hold his hand until the end.
Voren hesitated, jaw tight. Then she keyed her communicator and stepped back, muttering codes. Margaret bowed her head, whispering words none of them understood. Her thumb traced circles on the soldier's palm.
You are not alone, soldier. I'll stay right here until you don't need me anymore.
Voren's communicator crackled. Command's voice was clipped. Hold the human for interrogation, but do not remove her from the soldier.
Command wants her for interrogation later, but for now, she doesn't move.
The unit exchanged glances, weapons lowering another fraction. Margaret seemed to take that as permission to speak.
You asked what I am doing. I am making sure he doesn't face the end alone and afraid. That's all.
You'd do this for any dying soldier, even one of us.
No one should die alone, regardless of what uniform they wear.
But death is a private passage. To be seen, dying, that's shameful among our kind.
Shame. There's no shame in being afraid or wanting a hand to hold at the end.
Silence hung in the air. The soldiers shifted, uneasy, their expressions caught between discipline and disbelief.
I am not going anywhere. He won't be alone.
What do you get out of this? What's the gain for you, human?
Gain. There's no gain. It's mercy. A simple act of compassion. Nothing more.
Our custom is to leave the dying alone. To be present is to defile the passage with attachment.
Attachment? We call it a vigil. A sacred duty to sit with the dying, to bear witness.
Maybe she's not our enemy. Not right now. He's at peace with her.
Tor, you forget yourself. She's a hostile, and we have protocols.
Protocols didn't foresee this. Look at her. She's no threat.
The medic shifted uncomfortably, her scanner dangling forgotten. The air thickened with the first cracks in their unity.
What is this madness? She gains nothing. I don't understand.
No one moved to tear her away. The silence held, not agreement, but a fragile truce born of something none of them had words for.
My husband died on a battlefield years ago, all alone. I never even got to hold his hand at the end.
She spoke without self-pity, but the lantern's glow caught the silent tears that tracked through her skull paint.
After that, I promised myself I'd sit with anyone who needed comfort, friend or foe. That's why I am here.
Zareth's chest hitched. A single slurred word escaped his lips, and the soldiers stiffened, the Xylari word for mother.
Shh, it's okay. I am here, child.
He called for his mother. That's a child's last word, not a soldier's.
She does this for all. She's not our enemy. She's just a woman who knows loss.
Protocols say detain her. But how do you arrest someone whose only crime is mercy?
The unit stood frozen, the weight of her story pressing down on their rigid training.
He's just a boy, really. Like so many others, no one should die alone.
Lyra moved closer, scanner humming over Zareth's chest. The readings confirmed what they all feared. Minutes, not hours.
He is slipping. There is nothing left to do but wait.
Zareth's eyes opened, wide and searching. His dry lips parted. A single word, raw and desperate. The Xylari call for a father.
I don't know what you are asking, but I am here. Rest.
What did he say? You understood him. Tell me.
I don't speak your language. I only know he's calling for someone.
Tor's hand tightened on his rifle. Vorin and Lyra exchanged a glance heavy with unspoken questions. The word father suffocated the air.
He called for a father. What does that mean for us?
Margaret stroked his temple, her hum a quiet, off-key lullaby. The scanner's warning light blinked an amber pulse.
It is almost over. He will go very soon.
Vorin straightened, rifle snapping to ready. Protocol demanded action, and her patience had worn thin.
When he passes, the human is to be detained and the body removed for processing. Clear the area. That's an order.
I promised him I'd stay. You'll have to drag me away, and even then, you'll be too late.
Tor didn't hesitate. He stepped between Vorin and the kneeling pair, his body a shield.
Tor, stand down. That is a direct order, soldier.
She's done nothing but offer comfort. I won't let you tear her away while he still breathes.
Lieutenant Foreign, the protocol can bend. Let her stay a moment longer. Please.
Vorin keyed her communicator with a furious jab, her eyes never leaving the human.
Command, this is Lieutenant Vorin. The situation is out of control. I need Commander Karth here immediately.
The unit held its breath. The lantern flickered, casting long shadows across the divided soldiers, and the human's lullaby never stopped. The communicator hissed, "Commander Karth is en route. He's been tracking his son's unit. Do not interfere." Vorin's blood ran cold. Her gaze drifted to the soldier's collar, to the crest she had overlooked in the darkness. The identity tag glowed faintly, the Karth family crest, worn by the commander's only son.
Lyra, the dying soldier. He's Commander Karth's son. Then, she's been comforting. The commander's own child. This changes everything.
The human doesn't even know. She's just doing what she does.
If the commander sees his son with an enemy human, he might do something we can't control.
The unit stood frozen, the new knowledge of physical weight. Outside, engines whined in the distance, growing closer.
Do we warn her, the human?
There's no time. He's almost here. Just let her be. Let the commander see for himself.
The shattered doorway swallowed the commander's silhouette. He removed his helmet, and the lantern light carved his face into a mask of dread.
Zareth, get away from my son, human.
Before him, a human knelt, cradling his son's hand as if it were the most precious thing in the universe. The tableau froze him. Margaret looked up. The same angular jaw, the same deep-set eyes. She recognized the agony of a father.
He's been calling for a father, and here he is.
Karth did not move. His hand trembled on his sidearm, but he did not draw. The room held its breath. The silence stretched, broken only by Zareth's failing breath and the quiet, off-key lullaby the humans still hummed. The commander stood, as if turned to stone. His world crumbling with each shallow breath his son took. Karth's hand found his sidearm. The barrel rose, trembling, aimed at the human who dared touch his son.
Explain yourself, human. What have you done to him?
I am a nurse. I'm just holding his hand so he isn't afraid. No one should die alone.
Zareth's eyes flickered open. His lips moved, a fragile whisper that cut through the tension.
Father, she stayed. She didn't leave me.
The words struck Karth like a physical blow. His weapon arm faltered, the pistol dipping toward the rubble.
He thanked her, my son, thanked the enemy.
Karth's face crumpled, the mask of command dissolving into raw, uncomprehending grief.
I'll stay as long as he needs. You can, too.
The sidearm clattered to the ground. The commander stood frozen, a father lost in a war he no longer understood. Karth's eyes fell on his son's crest, then back to the human. A lifetime of doctrine clawed at his heart.
You defile his passage. Our dying must face the void in solitude, without attachment, or the spirit never releases.
I never meant to offend, but he was terrified. I just couldn't walk away and let him face that alone.
Father, it hurts less when she holds my hand. Please don't send her away.
Lyra stepped forward, her scanners display flashing comparative biometrics.
Commander, since the human began physical contact, his pain indicators dropped 31%. The data is conclusive.
31%. My son is dying easier in the hands of an enemy than in the arms of tradition.
Karth's fists clenched, tendons straining against his gauntlets. His chest rose and fell with ragged, unvoiced war.
He needs his father right now, not the commander. He needs you.
The commander's breath caught. He did not kneel, but his boots remained rooted in the rubble, bound by a force he had no name for. Karth's voice grated out of his chest, raw with a lifetime of suspicion. What madness drives your kind to cling to the dying like this?
I've been a hospice nurse for 23 years. I've held the hands of soldiers, civilians, friends, and strangers alike. In my faith, to sit with the dying is a sacred act. Every soul deserves a witness to its passing, no matter which side they fought on.
She spoke without guile, each word a quiet truth that left no room for argument. The lantern's flame didn't flicker. Even the fire seemed to believe her.
I promised myself I'd never let another person face the dark alone. That promise doesn't ask for uniforms.
Karth searched her face for the lie he expected, the propaganda, the hidden weapon. He found only a middle-aged woman with calloused hands and eyes that had seen too much death.
There is no deception here, just a creature doing what her kind does, offering comfort at the final hour.
The silence stretched. The soldiers behind him watched, their own weapons now pointing at the earth as if the rubble had become sacred ground.
I am not a threat to you or your son. I am just a woman who knows how to hold a hand when it's needed most.
Karth said nothing. The words had stripped him bare, and what remained was not a commander but a father staring at a choice he never thought he'd face.
Father, please, don't send her away. She's the only warmth I've felt since the blast.
Take his other hand, Commander. Let him feel you here. It will bring him peace.
Karth's hands clenched and unclenched at his sides, his gauntlets grinding against each other in the silence.
If I kneel, I betray every law. If I don't, I betray my son.
Slowly, as if his body had forgotten how, the commander lowered himself onto the rubble beside her. His armored knees struck the stone with a hollow crack, and the unit behind him drew a collective breath.
That's it. Now wrap your fingers around his, gently, like you are holding a fragile bird.
Karth's massive hand enveloped his son's. A sob tore from his chest, raw and unashamed.
Father, you are here. I am not afraid anymore. Is this the mercy she talked about?
Tears carved tracks through the dust on his face. He had broken every law, and for the first time, he understood the human word for mercy. The vigil settled into an ancient, wordless rhythm. Margaret's voice became a thread of calm in the ruin.
Let the pain go, sweetheart. There's nothing to fight anymore. Just rest now.
Father, can you feel it? She's right. It's like meeting the dawn.
Lieutenant Foran let her rifle slide against her hip. Her shoulders softened. She became a witness, not an officer. Soldier Tor bowed his head, helmet in hand. There were no words, only a strange, aching honor. The lantern's flame dipped, then steadied, casting a gold circle that held the three apart from the war.
The afterlife is calling him. He's not afraid, Commander. He just needs your blessing to let go.
She's shown my son a mercy I never knew. Perhaps our traditions have been wrong.
Zareth's breathing steadied, growing shallow but calm. His fingers curled around his father's in a final, grateful squeeze. In the stillness, even the dust hesitated. Time slowed to the beat of the lantern's steady flame. Zareth's chest rose one last time and stilled. The faint smile never left his face, the scanner flatlined with a single, unwavering tone.
He has passed, Commander. He went without pain.
His fingers relaxed, the tension bleeding away. The scanner's light died, leaving only the lantern's glow. Margaret's fingertips closed his eyes with a touch so light, it might have been the wind. A tear traced her skull paint. Karth stared at the still face of his son. Then a sound cracked from his chest, a keening wail that shook the dust from the broken walls. He pressed his son's hand to his forehead, shoulders quaking. The lantern flame guttered, then steadied.
He's at rest now. You gave him the one thing no one else could, a father's hand at the end.
Lyra stepped back, her scanner dangling. Her eyes glistened, a medic who had seen thousands die, but never like this. The unit remained motionless, their weapons forgotten. Not a single eye was dry. The lantern burned on, a small sun in the darkness. As the rain began to fall outside, slowly, Margaret uncurled her fingers from Zareth's hand, the last shared warmth slipping into the cold rubble. She removed her cardigan, the faded lavender, a soft flag of truce, and spread it over her fallen enemy, a makeshift shroud. Karth looked up, his face a ruin of grief and something else, a gratitude too vast for words. Soldier Tor bowed his head so low his helmet brushed the stone, a wordless apology from a warrior. Lyra pressed her palm to her mouth, and for the first time since the academy, her scanner clattered forgotten to the floor. Even Voran's rigid posture crumbled. Her rifle hung useless, its barrel pointing at the earth like a brittle flower. Margaret rose on aching legs, her body remembering every patient she had ever stayed with. She looked down at the boy. A raindrop traced a clean line through the dust on her cheek, as if the sky itself was learning to grieve. She took one step back, yielding the vigil to the father, and turned toward the darkness where the doorway had been. The commander's hand remained on his son's chest, his breath ragged, the word "thank you" building like a storm he could not yet release. The dam broke. Karth's voice, scraped from his chest by sorrow, shaped two simple human words he had never before spoken.
Thank you.
For a long moment, Margaret simply looked at him, her chest tight with a sorrow older than the war. She nodded, her own tears falling, and whispered,
I am sorry for your loss.
She straightened her aching shoulders and took a step toward the shattered doorway. The soldiers parted without command, their rifles now pointing at the rubble like offerings, their eyes fixed on the ground. Voran caught her eye as she passed. The lieutenant's jaw tightened, then eased, a grudging nod. It was not forgiveness, but it was a recognition that the battlefield had changed forever. Karth remained on his knees, the lavender cardigan bright against the gray ruin, the word "thank you" still echoing in the smoke-thick air, a promise he would carry beyond the war. The rain had stopped. Margaret stepped into a cold, gray dawn, where a relief worker wrapped a foil blanket around her shoulders. In the doorway, 3 Xylari soldiers stood motionless, silhouettes against the growing light, watching her go but making no move to follow. Inside, Karth forced himself to stand. He keyed the command frequency, his voice hollow but clear.
To all Xylari forces, this is Commander Karth. By my authority, any human bearing medical insignia is to be granted safe passage. They are non-combatants, effective immediately.
For a long moment, the only reply was static. Then unit after unit clicked in, their voices hollow with shock but submissive. Voran, still in the room, opened her mouth as if to speak, then closed it. She gave a single nod. Outside, Margaret paused at the cart and looked back at the shattered building, her lips forming a silent prayer. Karth knelt one last time beside his son, resting his palm on the lavender fabric.
Rest, Zareth. The war has already changed because of you.
By sunrise, the directive had reached every frontline unit. No Xylari would raise a weapon against a human healer again. In the months that followed, the directive took root in the blood-soaked soil. Makeshift clinics appeared, tents where human nurses and Xylari medics worked side by side, treating the wounded of both armies. In his private quarters, Karth sat alone, turning his son's identity tag over and over in his palm. He did not speak of the night in the ruins, but the light in his eyes had forever changed. A ceasefire flag rose above a forward base, white fabric trembling in the wind like an apology. The war, which had seemed endless, began to crumble under the weight of a single act of mercy. Within a year, the guns fell silent. The Xylari Council formally received Commander Karth's report. He stood before them, a broken man who carried peace in his hands. He told them not of strategy or territory, but of a human woman who sat with his dying son, and the war ended, not over land or victory, but over what happened in that ruined room. In a quiet garden, Margaret stood before a black stone etched with the names of the fallen. Among them, a small Xylari inscription. Zareth. She touched his name, her fingers lingering on the cold stone. A silent conversation with the boy she had held.
You were never alone, Zareth. Neither was your father.
She never stopped volunteering. In every war, every plague, every dark hospital ward, she sat with the dying, human and Xylari alike. She was one of many, a quiet legion of healers who carried the human tradition of the vigil across the stars. The Xylari language gained a new word, Val Korath, meaning one who stays with the dying. It was born from her. The lantern from that ruined room was preserved. It hung in the chamber where the peace treaty was signed, a small flame that had lit the way out of darkness. In the end, the Xylari never forgot that a human had sat with their dying soldier. They never understood why until they learned to sit with their own. And somewhere, a tired nurse with gray-streaked hair still knelt in the rubble, offering her hand to anyone who needed it. Because that is what humans do. In the silence, the lantern still burned, a single flame in the cold, moonlit ruins. It had witnessed the impossible, an enemy cradling an enemy, a father learning mercy from a stranger. The Xylari called it the Vigil Flame, and they told the story for generations. How a nurse named Margaret sat with their dying soldier, asking nothing in return. How she taught a commander to hold his son's hand, and a species to grieve. They placed a stone beside the lantern, inscribed in both languages. Here, mercy began. Each year, they gathered around that steady flame, remembering the human who stayed, and they spoke the words that became the heart of their new tradition. She sat with our dying soldier. We never understood why until we learned to sit with our own. The flame flickered once, then shone brighter as the image slowly faded into darkness. As the darkness receded, the lantern's flame still held its ground, a tiny, stubborn star in the ruins. Slowly, the camera pulled back, revealing the shattered floor where a battle had once raged. Moonlight poured through the broken wall, cold and silver, painting the rubble in ghostly light. And there, on the spot where Zareth had lain, the lavender cardigan remained, untouched, a sacred shroud. No Xylari hand had ever dared to move it. It had become a monument. On the nearby stone, 2 words were carved, Valkorath and Margaret. The war had ended, but this room remained as it was, a silent teacher of mercy. Generations of Xylari would come here to sit in the quiet and learn what their ancestors had learned, that no one, friend or enemy, should face the final darkness alone. The lantern burned on, and in its light, the galaxy listened to the story of a human who simply held a hand.